Understand something. Plain and simple. To me, Abigail was a delicious poison. An intoxicating, overwhelming poison. Yowie wowie! That felt good! Yowie wowie. Let me in.
Oh, it's Monday. And that can only mean one thing. Well, at least for our channel anyway. We're back with another episode of Abby's Window. And yeah, let's go ahead and get this thing started because we might have a little bit to talk about.
Just a little.
Just a little bit. So as always, joining me, the one and only, your Abby, my Abby, Jodie Gilly. Jodie, how are you?
I'm here.
Hey, sometimes that's all we can do is just be here, just be present in the moment. So welcome. We got some stuff to talk about, but first, let me go through the chat. We've got a good little crowd so far. First, the one thing I want to say though before we get started is thank you to everyone that watched our reaction to the Fiend showing back up at Fastlane. Over 1,000 views and counting on that video. Absolutely bonkers. And last week, even though we weren't live, it was the biggest episode of Abby's Window that we've had. That's crazy. But it just shows how great the one and only Bray Wyatt is. So thank you all for joining us. So let me shout out some folks real quick and then we'll get started. Texas-based wrestling fan, Chad Schrader, Jen Carter, Kevin Langhoff, Cheese Whiz. Kevin saying that this is his first time here. So welcome, Kevin. Thank you for joining us this season. Cheese Whiz 2, Sean Suslowitz, Robert Morris, Big Dan, James Chadwick. Let's see here. Firefly, Funhouse fan. That's a lot of F's, but we're glad you're here. Let's see here. Janelle Jackson, Steve Taylor, Joe is in the chat. What's up, Joe? Firefly Revolution, EJ Movement, Magic Banana 409, Chris Kazuba, Brian Nason, Joey's Adventures, Deanna. Let's see, HPC Too Sweet joining us from Twitch. So J Hub just joined us. So what's up, J Hub? Thank you for joining us. So Jodie, let's skip ahead and talk about the fact that we have this. Sean Rousset, what's up? We have this. John Cena Gamer 0809. Let's say hello to Benito White 86 saying what's up, first time here on YouTube, didn't know you guys had a page to talk about thanks to Abby. So yeah, thank you for joining us. We really appreciate it. Glad to see some new folks in here tonight.
I do have to give a shout out to See Wrestling for that, for pulling me on his page last week to talk about the post that Jason Baker had.
Yes.
He required my nursing brain. So that was a lot of fun.
Let's talk about that before we get into this awesomeness. Let's talk about that because Jason Baker, just without very much hype at all, just put out a report, last week, and so let's talk about that a little bit. What in the world? What do you make of that?
Yeah, it was basically a preliminary autopsy report. I've seen quite a few of those, unfortunately, in my 8 years as a nurse. I've gone all over the place in terms of my experience. I've been in the emergency room, I've been in surgery, I've been in long-term care, I've been in 2 different psychiatric hospitals. I'm in a geriatric psychiatric hospital at the moment. I just got promoted to director of nursing, which is super cool. So basically, it's a preliminary autopsy report. There were certain things that were blacked out that pertained to death. And obviously, knowing anything about classified documents, that's pretty much what they do with classified documents, is they black out certain things that they don't want you to see. So we kind of lightened that up a bit and got to uncover what was blacked out. And there were definitely some interesting things on there, that he didn't die immediately and he was covered in a flammable substance and set on fire. And yeah,
I mean,
interesting things. Some things that, would suggest, given my medical knowledge, that the Fiend had been dead for about 24 hours based on the medical information that was presented in that document.
listen, that I gotta say, your breakdown, and again, shout out to See Wrestling, because he shouted out our channel, and we've seen a lot of people come over. We've just exploded in terms of our subscribers, so thank you all. But yeah, that autopsy, it was just, you did such an incredible job, and like I was looking at it, you sent it to me, and I'm like, holy crap, this is pretty cool. And you sent it to me, and I'm like, okay, I need like medical knowledge for dummies right now. Like if they still were doing those book series, which maybe they are. And shout out to Rusty Shackelford, who had done this, Butter Spark as well. But yeah, like I was like, I need a breakdown ASAP, and you sent me a text, and you just so happened to say, oh yeah, by the way, might be in a video later on doing this. So I was so happy to see that. And yeah, what a great video. And everything that you broke down. Wow. I mean, just like, did you ever think that you would need to use your nursing certifications and degrees to break down the storyline that involved your favorite wrestler?
No. I mean, I was immediately happy that I, when I saw it, because I was like, oh, this is something I actually know something about. That's exciting.
Listen, you did a fantastic job, and if you haven't checked that video out on See Wrestling's channel yet, go ahead and do so. Absolutely fantastic video. Let Him In is here. Callan Corner, Jesse Callan, what's up? Drift Lewis as well. So yeah. So obviously what we have up on the screen right now is we got a little bit of a match update last week. Randy Orton said that he was going to summon the Fiend, which I mean, I don't know why in the world. I don't know why you want to do that.
Obviously, he had a death wish.
He did. I mean, he did. Let's just.
But you just wouldn't.
Yeah. I mean, my goodness. Jeff Samuel, what's up? Jeff Samuel saying he was in church. Maybe I was preaching a little bit. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, so he summoned the Fiend. Jason Peace, what's up? Eric Travis, how are you? Listen, we just keep getting people joining. At some point, I'm going to have to stop shouting out. So if I don't shout you out, I promise you it's not intentional. It's just we got a lot of people here and a lot to talk about. Oh, Kevin, thank you so much for the wonderful, gracious donation. Kevin says this storyline is what I call a long burn. No pun intended, but going back to 2017, amazing. Absolutely.
Oh, it went back longer than that.
Yeah, longer than that. They've been. I mean, honestly, this goes all the way back to when Randy took on Husky Harris. When Husky Harris was a part of the Nexus.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it goes back
It goes way back.
a long way. So
Mm-hmm.
Benito saying they should make an Inferno match. That would be cool for this one. Listen, my goodness. Wow. So we got Alexa coming out there, and listen, I gotta say this too before we go further. Alexa is changing right before our very eyes.
Yep.
She has gone from, you know, this look, you know, which we kind of figured that she was changing anyway. But now, you know, it's a more noticeable change. Her face is pale and she's got, you know, the dark makeup around her eyes. Before we go any further, what do you think you attribute that to?
Well, you know, you and I being horror fans, the further and further you get into some kind of demonic possession, the darker you get.
Right.
I mean, if you've seen movies like that, the more the inner demon starts to take over, the more your appearance starts to change. I was trying to rack my brain on specific examples, but I just couldn't think of any off the top of my head. But you know, you look at movies like Paranormal Activity and, you know, kind of how she changed over the course of that movie, and she kind of, her personality changed. She got darker. And, you know, the more and more you become overcome with this possession,
Mm-hmm.
You know, the more her appearance and attitude is going to change.
Yeah, I mean, oh my goodness, like she's looking. It just makes me think that they did all of this stuff for a reason with copyrights of the witch and all of that. And let's go back to this. So long story short, we get this out of all of it. The Fiend shows up, mandible claws Randy. I think we got to keep that in mind. He gave the mandible claw to Randy. I think we have to be very, very aware of anything that happens tonight. We have to be looking for clues as to what happens tonight, because if Randy Orton gets any darker or any more demented than what he really is already, then just buckle up because it's going to get crazy. Joe in here talking about a movie that I know he won't watch. I saw the preview for that and I was like, yeah, I got to watch that. And I started thinking immediately, there is no way that Joe's ever going to see that movie. Like, no way. Joey's Adventure says, Jeff and Jody, I got original Paul Bearer vibes from Alexa's makeup.
Yeah.
It does.
He's very much the Paul Bearer to his Undertaker for sure.
Exactly. And I think
they were quite the team. And I think, you know, the Fiend and Alexa Bliss are quite the team. She's obviously the mouthpiece.
Yes. PCW fan 1987 joining us from Periscope. Thank you. Saying, do you think she will be like a darker Harley Quinn?
I think it's going to be a lot deeper than that.
Think it's going to be okay.
I hate to start this rumor back up again, but it's pretty Abby-ish. I don't think that she is going to portray. She's not going to be Sister Abigail, but she's going to that darker side. Her makeup looks pretty similar to the puppet of Abby. I definitely think she could portray her again. especially if we get some kind of cinematic match between The Fiend and Randy Orton. And maybe that's what this is all about, that she's kind of transitioning into this witch-like character. Because we kind of always thought that maybe Abby would need a new host at some point.
That's true. And it's looking like, I mean, if Abby's not taking over, Alexa,
Something else is.
something else is. And my goodness. See Wrestling, thank you for joining. Actually brings up a good point. Saying with the Fiend using the mandible claw, we should also look for signs of the Fiend regenerating, healing. Yes.
And we never really understood this hurt and heal side. And I think this may be something that we start to see. I definitely got regeneration vibes out of this, you know, talking about The Mummy and Hellraiser and, you know, kind of all those other movies that he's healing himself by hurting other people. And I know we've talked about that before, you know, that he's healing himself by erasing, you know, the past and changing the past and fixing the past. But I definitely think maybe we'll now see it in a physical regeneration.
Yeah. Let's talk about this real quick because someone brought it up. But, you know, the little Fiend popped out of the box, right? And someone brought up the fact that she's looking a lot like Paul Bearer.
Mm-hmm.
Is this box the Fiend? See, me and
you, man. Me and you.
Is this the Fiend's urn?
It's very, very possible.
I mean, every time, like every week, I'm just starting to see more and more things that kind of tie to the Undertaker, but are different in ways that it's not like, okay, well, that's definitely
right
an homage to the Undertaker. So yeah, I definitely think that this might be the Fiend's urn.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, whenever he popped out of the box, then not long after that, we get the Fiend showing up.
And that, you know, that goes back into horror as well. If you look at, you know, the Conjuring movies, every demonic entity needs a conduit. And, you know, the first one we got the music box, and I forget what the one was in the second one. You know, and then we got Annabelle. She was a conduit. And, you know, if he's going down this demonic side, he needs a host, a tool.
Gotta have it.
Dig it.
Someone said earlier, do we get a Firefly Funhouse tonight? And I wanted to talk to you about the Firefly Funhouse. Do you think we get one tonight?
There's a rumor flying out there that we might.
Okay.
I think that's the unanswered question that everybody kind of has on their mind right now is what happened to Funhouse Bray. And I forget who I was talking to about it. I think me and C and Jesse were talking about it on our Skype chat over the weekend that, you know, the Funhouse is kind of his imaginary safe space. And even when Seth went in and set it on fire, it still didn't change. There was no remnants of that occurring. So I could actually see the Funhouse looking exactly the way it was. Because that's his safe space, and that will never change. It's his imagination that's filling in these holes of what the Funhouse actually is. So I definitely think that, you know, I could see the Funhouse not changing at all. I think the dark puppets art that was released by Kyle, I think we definitely could see them come to fruition as a one-time thing in that cinematic match, because you know that cinematic match is going to be all about Randy facing all the wrong things that he did to Bray in his past, and I think dark puppets will be a tool that he's going to use to mess with Randy's head. But I could see the Funhouse looking exactly the same as it was.
Now, that's an interesting point because the Funhouse may look the same. How does Funhouse Bray look?
I think he looks the same as well.
That's interesting.
Because he's kind of, like I said, that's kind of his imaginary safe space. So I could see him not changing either.
See Wrestling saying, yeah. See Wrestling saying Funhouse Bray was burnt on Raw, though, outside of the Funhouse. When we look back at everything leading up to TLC, I get that, yeah. I miss Funhouse Bray.
So do I. He's so goofy. Like, obviously, you know, the Fiend is this terrifying, you know, entity, and you know that it's Bray under there, but it's there's something special about Funhouse Bray. Like, I love the Fiend, but there's just something special about Funhouse Bray. He, you know, he just makes you smile. Like, the Fiend is kind of that, oh my gosh, I'm uncomfortable, I'm a little scared, but you know, Funhouse Bray is you know, going back to 2019 when he first appeared, he was the one that made me laugh when I needed to. And yeah, I definitely miss that. I think a lot of people do.
Yeah, absolutely.
It would be hard for the fans to never see Bray's face.
Yeah. EJ movement saying, yeah, I think it's a mistake to not continue Funhouse Bray. You don't want the Fiend character to become one-dimensional. Yeah.
I mean, I definitely could see that maybe we don't see Funhouse Bray until the Fiend's been regenerated.
Yes. Now, hey, I'm going to ask you about this since we talked about the document from Jason earlier. I've put into the universe that I think a portion of this match, and I've got two questions for you here. I think a portion of this match will have an autopsy of sorts, which I would love. So I'm putting that out into the universe. Please, WWE, if you're doing a cinematic part to this, please do an autopsy part because I think that would be absolutely insane. But two questions for you. One, would you like to see that? And two, how much of this match do you think will be cinematic?
I think having the fans back, I kind of don't feel like any of it will be cinematic.
Okay.
Just because this is their opportunity to really shine in the ring. And I could see them waiting on a cinematic match until it's a pay-per-view that maybe they're not going to have fans on. You know, if obviously WrestleMania obviously is like the Super Bowl of WWE, maybe the next pay-per-view, you know, they decide not to have fans on. Maybe they're going at this a little bit slower. I did hear that they have told the venue that was doing the meet and greet in New York with Bray that WWE's told him that they probably aren't going to start touring again until at least June or July. So I could see them maybe not quite having fans at every single pay-per-view. And if not, that would be a good time to do that kind of cinematic match.
Yeah, I mean, I
feel like this is probably going to be a squash match. I really do.
Okay. I know someone a little bit ago said they thought it would be a squash.
Because you've got to present this new Fiend as completely dominant and unstoppable. And the best way to do that is a squash match. I know a lot of people will be really mad and upset about that and disappointed, but I just, that's how I feel like it's going to go. I think it's going to be a pretty fast match. A, because, you know, like I said, it's a chance to show off the Fiend as that dominant, unstoppable force. And B, I can imagine that getup is not comfortable, especially in, you know, April in Florida. So I can't imagine Bray being able to stay in that costume very long without to use an improper term, roasting his nuts off. So
yeah, I mean, it's not Christmas time, so don't need to be roasting chestnuts. Firefly Revolution saying, Jodie, yeah, there was that toy in The Conjuring 2 that summons the Crooked Man.
The Crooked Man, that's right.
Someone asked earlier where is his big mallet? Let's see. Jeremy Stewart asked that.
I think last time we saw it, it was in the Funhouse, wasn't it? I don't remember. I'm sure it's around somewhere.
Oh, I'm sure it's around.
Probably in Bray's toy box.
Yeah, probably. Kevin, thank you again for the super chat saying I'm going to be at Mania with my daughters, so hoping to see them live trying to explain the storyline to her.
I'm so jealous.
And oh my goodness.
Enjoy it, because to be able to see that entrance live at WrestleMania, I was supposed to see it last year, and obviously, the world got set on fire. So
yeah,
enjoy it for sure.
Yeah, have a good time. Be safe, but definitely enjoy it. Rusty says, just what if this still isn't the end game in this feud and Randy wins and does something else horrible to the Fiend?
That's highly possible as well. It just depends on how far they're taking this circle story. Obviously, the full circle would be that Bray beats Randy at WrestleMania because Randy beat Bray at WrestleMania. If that's the circle he's going after, it might not be the circle that he's going after. Bray's very good at being cryptic with his circles and what that means. We just saw in a video chat that he had with a fan that there was something within the Man in the Woods video. There was a message that nobody's heard yet. So,
and stay tuned for that, folks, because Jodie and I are talking about doing something with that video. So just stay tuned, because we might have a little something to say about that video real soon. So stay tuned. Kevin Hefferner saying Randy Orton getting his ass kicked every week makes me nervous he finds a way to win.
It's possible. Just what they want to do with the story after WrestleMania.
Right. I mean, that's
going back to the horror angle. It doesn't matter how many times you try to kill Jason or Michael Myers, he's still going to come back.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, the Fiend,
you can shoot him, set it on fire, decapitate him. He's still going to come back up.
Still comes back. I mean, this guy was lit ablaze. I mean, Randy did everything but roast marshmallows while the Fiend was on fire. And yeah, you can't kill what's already dead.
And we know he was already dead. So
exactly. Jeremy Stewart saying, I want to see Bray use that hammer twice on Randy's head.
I think we could definitely see that hammer come back for sure.
Robert Moore is saying a casket match would be good.
I wouldn't mind that.
I
think the best way to do this match is there's got to be some fire involved.
Has to be. Big Dan saying rumor has it WrestleMania is going to be a slaughter on Bray's part, and a cinematic match may happen at Money in the Bank.
I've heard that too.
John Cena Gamer saying, I can't wait to see Alexa Bliss's WrestleMania attire. I think that'll be pretty cool. Let's talk about that. And shout out to C Wrestling again. He sent us that tweet over, and there was like a choreographer with a bunch of people. I mean, what in the heck could that be? Other than nightmare fuel for Joe. I mean, other than that, what else could that be?
I think Joe is not going to be able to watch some of this. I really, really do.
Yeah.
I think there's going to be some spider walking women. Sorry.
Yeah. I mean, sorry, dude. Maj saying, can this be the end game of Randy And did you see Aleister Black on Instagram? We need to come face to face Bray Wyatt.
There's a lot of matches I would like to book for him, but obviously not. I'm not the booking person, so.
Yeah, Conrad, what's up? Everything Pro Wrestling. Go check out his channel if you haven't subscribed over there. Conrad does a lot of great stuff over there. So thank you for joining, man. Wrestling Lane is joining as well. Let's see here. Chad Schrader saying, when do you think we'll see the new Fiend action figure?
Soon, I hope.
I hope so. James Chadwick saying, do you think they'll do something with the pirate ship or leave that for Sammy and KO or Braun and Shane?
I don't. I think they're going to leave that for KO and yeah, because that's just what they do. I do, however, think this is going to be the entrance that steals the night. 100%.
Oh, yeah, I definitely think so. Now, look, this is an interesting question from Seven Fiend, and I think we should talk about it. What next if the Fiend loses at WrestleMania? Jody, what do you think happens next if that does happen?
Obviously, I think this feud's going to have to continue until the Fiend destroys Randy Orton. So if he loses, obviously, I think this feud's just going to keep going, which I'm fine with because they have some amazing chemistry together, and Randy Orton's killing this just as much as Alexa and Bray are. But, you know, if it's going to lead to this cinematic match, definitely more mind games. It's about getting Randy to break, and I know we've talked about that before. Mm-hmm. And maybe he can't, you know, he can't be beaten until he's broken. So that's a definite possibility.
There you go. Kevin saying if Randy is cursed, then getting that curse out could be a story. And remember, Bray did a ritual on Randy in 2017 after he put Abigail's ashes on him. So I think if they did do something to that effect and Randy won, I think it's going to be about possibly burying this version of the Fiend, like actually having a ceremony, a ritual to bury this version of the Fiend, only to have whatever's next reincarnate and rise from the grave like that. I think that would be pretty cool if that's the direction that they're going to go in. Mm-hmm. I think it's going to be something different. I think Randy's going to get demolished in some ways. And, you know, and we start to see some cracks in Randy's armor, so to speak. And people are talking about Alexa spider walking. And that, like I said, that's Joe's nightmare fuel. So Joe's not having that in the chat. Adventure says WWE may have spoiled the Fiend entrance gear earlier today. Really? I have not been able to look at Twitter very much. Or was that on Twitter, Joey?
I have no idea.
I have not seen that. But yeah, if you have that, send it over to Jody via DM, and we, you know, maybe she can take a look at it and we can talk about that live. So WWE shop. Okay.
Oh, he's talking about the new t-shirt. Are you talking about the new t-shirts? The new merch?
The new merch, which we will get to. Because we finally get to bring back. I'm just going to go. You know what? Let's go ahead and talk about it. Why not? We get to bring back this graphic, which we haven't seen in God knows how long.
Merch.
But, you know, we've got some merch going. So, yeah, let's talk about the merch that we have. And, you know, we got that shirt there. I really want that shirt.
I bought them both.
Jody, of course you bought both.
Well, it's my birthday on Friday. I had to do something for myself.
Well, I know it's coming up. Happy early birthday.
Thank you.
Happy early birthday. I think it's very interesting that we have the butterfly
Or a moth.
or a moth on the back. I think that's very, very interesting. Look at that.
It's amazing.
WWE shop, folks. How much are these shirts, Jody?
I think they're $27 each.
There you go. Joe ordered it. I'm just jealous of all of you right now. Joe throwing him back to Silence of the Lambs. That, you know what? Let's just say this about this story. There are so many ties to so many different horror movies. And not just like your obscure ones, but the iconic ones. I mean, you can tie this back to Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, Jeepers Creepers, Silence of the Lambs. I mean, it goes on. Hellraiser. I mean, is that intentional, Jody?
Oh, yeah. This is Bray Wyatt we're talking about. Everything's intentional. Everything means something. Everything.
I mean,
we know he's a horror fan. Told that by several people. So
he is. I mean, nothing is wasted with this guy.
Nope.
Absolutely nothing is wasted. And yeah, I mean, it's just fascinating that you can look at this story and say, okay, well, this reminds me of this. I swear to goodness, if at some point Alexa says his name 5 times and he appears, then I'm just going to pass out, because then we've got Candyman, which is my favorite one of just about my favorite horror movie of all time. But I mean, that could be next. Maybe she says his name 5 times, and bam, there the Fiend is appearing for us. So, oh my God, I'm so jealous. I'm gonna have to get one of those shirts myself. I'm gonna have to get one. Yeah, this is.
Get ready. Well, all I'm going to say is get ready, because all our bank accounts are going to be hurting, because I'm sure they're going to be coming out with a whole bunch of new merch.
Yeah. Let's see here. The Holiday, Christopher Mace. What's up? Do y'all think this will be a process where the Fiend heals slowly and changes his look? Jody,
yep.
You kind of mentioned that earlier, but go ahead.
100%. 100%, 1000%, because like I said, for several reasons that I would imagine that get up to be very, very difficult to wrestle in. And, I think it adds into the hurt and heal things. He's healing himself by hurting other people. Yeah.
I mean,
he may not ever be fully regenerated and go back to the old mask. I mean, it's definitely possible, but I could see him kind of keeping this mask, but healing other parts, like his hands, and so he can kind of lose those big rubber gloves and, lose some of the bulkiness in the vest. And so that way it's a little bit easier for him to wrestle in it, especially if they're going to start touring again in the summer. I'm sure it's going to be really hot.
Yes. And this costume is not, I mean, unless he's got some fans going on in there, air vents, this thing is not.
Wearing ice packs around his waist. I don't know, but I would imagine outdoors in April in Florida, he's gonna be sweating a lot.
Yeah. Sweating profusely. I'm going to be sweating watching him do everything in the ring. So, Randy Sam. See, now this is the question that mixes in my love of horror for my love of this storyline. If Bray gave Randy something horrifying, can can this be like a Freddy versus Jason battle?
Oh God.
Like, listen, Randy.
Shut up and take my money. Like,
I mean, Randy, go ahead, put that into the universe. That's what we like to do. We like to put some of these things into the universe because for whatever reason, it seems like a lot of times when we put something out there, maybe someone listens to it. I don't know, but some of these things tend to happen because I don't know. Several months ago, Jodie was talking about she'd really like to see cult leader Bray back again, and then all of a sudden, one Friday night, bam, he's back. So
just saying, I would really like to see cult leader Bray again.
WWE, if you're listening, just saying. My goodness, man, my goodness. See Eric Travis saying CM Punk is scared of the Fiend. Conrad asking the question here. Do you guys prefer this match to be a regular match or a cinematic? What do you prefer, Jodie?
I think at some point they should do a cinematic match. So I'm okay with it being a regular match as long as there's a cinematic match. I think this depth of story, it's demanding a cinematic match because, I mean, that's the easiest way to get and the most interesting, intricate way to further this story. So
yeah,
as long as they do a cinematic match at some point, I'm okay with the WrestleMania match being just a regular match.
You know what I would really love for WWE to do, and I don't know that they will on Peacock. I would like to see that go a step further. I'd like to see this be its own WWE special. Like a 30-minute cinematic special about this story and bringing some type of conclusion to it. Or, and maybe not right now. Or
you know what I would like to see? I would like to see a 30-minute behind-the-scenes special about all of this stuff. Obviously, that's not really what Bray does. He's very rarely in all the behind-the-scenes stuff. You know, when you catch him in one, you're kind of pinching yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would love to see, like, you know, some kind of behind-the-scenes creating of the Fiend, or you know how he gets all that get up on all the time, and the makeup involved, and you know all of that stuff, the building of that Inferno match, and how much they had to rehearse it. Or I would just love to know of that match.
Sorry, my house phone is ringing. For those of you that are younger in our chat, house phones do exist still.
Yes, they do.
Give me 1 second.
Why only 30 minutes? I mean, I'm just saying, you know, you might be able to get 30 minutes out of Bray for a documentary. I mean, you know, I could do an hour, 2 hours, however long you want to do it. But but
yeah,
I'd love to see some kind of backstory on how all of this, the inner workings of all of this.
I would too. Oh my God. Wrestling Lane saying, what do you think we get tonight?
Well, there is that rumor floating around that we get a Funhouse episode, which I would love, because I would love to see Bray's beautiful face on my television again. Not a super big fan of clowns, so I've always kind of had, you know, I'm fine watching him on TV, but I kind of always said that if I had to come face to face with the Fiend, I'd probably back up about 10 feet. So I'm pretty sure I would do this with this version as well. I'd just be like, oh, okay, I'm going to back up now. So love seeing him on my TV, but I really do miss Bray's face.
Sean Suslowitz saying, my daughter is turning 5 on Wednesday. Well, happy early birthday to your daughter, Sean.
Happy birthday.
Absolutely.
My son just turned 6 last week. So they grow up too fast. Way too fast.
Yes. My daughter just turned 3. JJ turns 6. And then my oldest turns 12 at the end of April. So God help us all.
Teenage boys are way easier than teenage girls. I'll just tell you.
Yeah. I'm glad I got a few years before Kinsley becomes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Teenage girls are tough.
Yeah. Let's see here. What else? Kevin saying this is all leading to Soldier Boy letting him in. Ha ha, just kidding. Yeah, we got wrecked on Twitter, so go look it up.
It's so funny. Randy's response would just I about spit out my coffee, and then Stephanie Hypes on Twitter retweeted it and said something so funny that I literally did spit out my coffee this morning.
Yeah, she's like, even that's RKO and people are right. Shout out to Stephanie. But yeah, yeah, go look it up. I won't talk about that.
It's funny.
But it's pretty funny. It's pretty funny. Randy is a savage. He is a savage.
Yes, he is.
But yeah, apparently Randy is not the only one RKOing people. Apparently other parts of his anatomy are as well. The gamer saying we need to see Funhouse Bray on the swings. I think Jodie would pass out, and then I also think that Jodie is secretly writing some things because she said,
I am not, but I have told you I think the best way for Funhouse Bray to come back, and if it ever happens, I probably will pass out because that means somebody either had the same idea or somebody listened to our idea and decided that'd be cool, is to have an Alexa's Playground. And, the camera's on Alexa. She looks over and says something like, what do you think? And the camera pans over and Funhouse Bray sitting there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I've been putting that in the universe for a while.
Yeah. Please let it happen. Please. Little T, what's up, Little T? Says, when do you think Crazy Nikki Cross will show up and have a feud with Alexa Bliss? It would be more interesting if Nikki teamed up with Randy to fight the Fiend and Alexa at WrestleMania.
I think this match is more about Randy and the Fiend. I definitely think that Alexa will be ringside. I could definitely see some shenanigans and her messing with Randy. But I'm interested to see where Alexa goes with this. If she starts kind of having her own, now that the Fiend is back and she can, if Funhouse Bray comes back and he kind of takes over being the mouthpiece, if Alexa kind of now goes and does her own thing in terms of feuds and matches, and we may see after WrestleMania Alexa Bliss versus Rhea Ripley.
Oh my God. I mean, they do, even though it's very brief, they have some history now.
They do. Alexa has history with a lot of people.
Yeah. Yeah.
So do we need to start digging now of, who's burned Alexa in the past?
Well, I know one of them would be Nia.
Mm-hmm.
Could you imagine the mind games that she could play with Nia Jax?
That would be amazing.
Oh my God. Let's see. Kevin saying, so are we saying that Funhouse Bray got burned in that chest and that the Fiend popped up out of it before TLC?
I'm saying that Funhouse Bray got burned and that chest that Fiend popped out before.
You remember the chest that Randy put him in and set it on fire, and then we ended up seeing the Fiend emerge.
Mm-hmm. I mean, obviously you saw Funhouse Bray go in that box.
Right.
And he set the chest on fire. He didn't directly set Bray on fire. Which is why I kind of think that Bray might be the same. because he didn't directly set Bray on fire. He set the Fiend on fire.
Gotcha. You know, I got to point this out. Joe is preparing for our non-PG stream because of, like, the Peacock Network will forever be called that in slang terms going forward. So I'm not going to put it on the screen. Just Joe, you're cool, man. Did you see those comments?
Briefly.
Okay, because yes, that is Peacock Network.
So I kind of heard that complaint earlier in the week, but I didn't have that issue at the last pay-per-view.
Could you rewind it though?
No, I couldn't rewind it, but I could go out, because remember how you guys were like 30 seconds ahead of me?
Yeah.
And I thought that it was the app just being slow. So there were a few times that I exited out of it and went back in, and it caught right up with live. I didn't have to restart or anything like that. It let me watch it live.
Okay.
I selected on it. So I don't know if that's something that's changing for WrestleMania. But for the last pay-per-view, I did. It was fine just letting me jump into it live. I didn't have any issues with that. And I went out and went back in several times.
Gotcha. Oh boy, Joe has started something. Butterspart is now on board. I'm just gonna leave it there. Like, you guys, you guys are great. You guys are awesome. Oh man, Michael Mason saying, please make this a Buried Alive match at Mania just so Taker could come out and bury both the Fiend and Randy.
I saw a really interesting comment on Twitter earlier, speaking of Undertaker. He never signed the contract with Brock Lesnar, so we can erase that match. He's still undefeated because he never signed the contract.
There you go.
I take it.
That's it. You know what would be really cool, since someone mentioned kind of like a Freddie versus Jason vibe? Jason Goes to Hell, when his mask was above ground and Freddie's hand reached up and pulled it down. It would be really cool if they did do a Buried Alive match. And as they were burying whoever, we see the old Undertaker glove come up and just kind of pull that person down. That would be really, really cool. A really good kind of throwback to all of that. So, I got to stop fantasy booking right now. So, Jodie, if we do get a Funhouse tonight, what do you think we get?
I don't even know.
Do you think we get some type of backstory, kind of backtracking as to what happened at TLC and everything since then? Just kind of a quick history?
Probably. I also wouldn't mind a Cult Leader Bray segment, not necessarily a Funhouse. Remember how Cult Leader Bray did those segments with Braun? You know, saying that it looked like he'd seen a ghost. If they're gonna build, but that may be saved for the cinematic match that they're gonna have, if they have one. That would definitely be a good place to bring in Cult Leader Bray into that, because obviously a lot of this story has to do with Randy setting the compound on fire. So if they're not quite building that cinematic match just yet, and this is going to be a regular old match in the ring at WrestleMania, I definitely think we could see Bray, you know, talking about, kind of like I said a couple weeks ago, him coming back and saying, you know, reminding that Randy that the Fiend was already dead and you can't kill what's already dead. And, you know, you thought that would get rid of him, but You can't kill it. He's going to keep coming back for you.
That's it. Just like Michael Myers, Jason, Freddy, and whoever else you want to throw in there. You can't kill it. You just can't kill it. It's just going to keep coming back stronger and stronger and more focused on causing destruction. That's just what's going to happen. Let's see here. Big Dan saying, how about a Funhouse segment where Funhouse Bray is dressed as cult leader Bray and laying on a hammock on a beach where he says, been working on my tan since December.
You know what a fan I am of cult leader Bray. So
that would be amazing. That would be great. Yeah, oh my God, that would be great. What role do you think Alexa plays in this WrestleMania match?
I think she'll be ringside for sure. I think she's going to be there to be kind of that mental torment for Randy. Just kind of like she has been. She's been that, messing with his head. But I would like to see Funhouse Bray kind of take that over now that the Fiend is back. I still think she's going to play into this a lot in terms of how she brought him back, or, there's a big question of, is she in control of the Fiend now that she brought him back? Who's really the one that's in control? Because that's a good question to ask. She brought him back, so does that mean she has a little bit more control over who he goes after and what he does? Is she now going to be his manager, so to speak? I don't know. I'm very interested to see where Alexa goes with this.
Wow. Thank you, Jody. Wrestling Lane. What if tonight on Raw, Randy comes out, then his old theme, Burning My Light, he hates that. Burning My Light starts playing as the Fiend starts laughing because Randy hates that song. I was just saying, he hates that song. That would be awesome, though. Felipe joining us from Portugal. We've got some Fireflies in Portugal. That's awesome. Thank you for joining us. Oh my God, this story, Jody. This story is just incredible. I mean, I guess my question is for you as we wrap up, does this story end at WrestleMania, or does this only put a pause in the story going forward?
I don't even think it puts a pause in it. I think it's the end of a chapter and it's going to keep going. And I think it's going to keep going until we get that cinematic match.
Yeah. Trex Eddie saying, what about a Hell in a Cell match done right? Think of how Kane was introduced, and this has a Kane vibe.
Unpopular opinion, I was not as disappointed as with that Hell in a Cell match as everybody else was.
With Kane?
No, with
Seth. With Seth. I got it.
Other than the ref stoppage, that was the only thing that I didn't like.
Yeah.
Go back and watch it with the commentary. That's what changed my mind a little bit.
It really was. I mean, a lot of people got pissed because of the ending of it. Mm-hmm. But if you really pay attention to everything throughout the match,
pay attention to what he was doing to Seth through that entire match.
Exactly. It was just
beautiful.
It was just a gigantic mind F the entire time.
Yeah.
Like that's what it was the entire time.
It was beautiful.
Yeah. Brilliant storytelling.
Is it my favorite of the Fiend's matches? No. But I thought it was very, very well done, except for the ending.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he had to, like Firefly Revolution said, you know, I didn't hate the ending. It was fine, but he had to get Seth to a place where he was broken, and I think that's what he's going to do with Randy.
Yes.
Speaking of which, Bray Wyatt just tweeted.
Oh, breaking news. Well, you know what? This gives me an opportunity to use this. Breaking news.
Uh-oh.
All right, here we go. And then we're going to take off. What did he say, Jodie?
He said Brody would hate to see us fighting. And it's a picture of...
Wow. Wow. So, with that, folks, we hope that you enjoy Raw tonight. Because it sounds like there may be something going on. So, yeah. Pay attention tonight, folks. Pay attention. Everybody, you know what? Everybody's like starting to freak out now in the chat. So that's great. That's great. Thanks, folks. No, before we do this, Jodie, anything else you want to say to everyone? I mean, you just blew everybody's minds.
I didn't. Bray did.
No, but you did because you saw it and you just read it and showed it to us. And now my mind.
I saw it. Bray is the only person on Twitter. Actually, I take that back. There's only 2 people on Twitter that I have tweet notifications for. No offense to all of my friends out there, but my phone will be going off every 2 seconds. It already does go off every 2 seconds. But I've got tweet notifications for 2 people, Bray Wyatt and Kyle Scarborough.
There you go.
That's it.
There you go. There you go. All right, folks. Chew on that one.
Rusty.
Rusty.
If I ever got confirmation of that, I would pass out on my office floor.
There you go. I think we would both be kind of flush a little bit and faint.
I will say, if he is, I would really like a happy birthday DM on Friday on my birthday. Just saying. That would make my birthday.
There you go. That would make her birthday. That would make her birthday. So, Jodie, that was fun. What do you say we do it again next week? Let's do it. All right, folks.
Unless something cray-cray happens tonight.
Yeah, unless something cray-cray happens, and if it does, then you might want to be subscribed. Jodie has been studying the art of the segue. You might want to be subscribed and turn on those post notifications, and you never know when the insiders are going to go live. So give us a subscribe, give us a like on this video, and that helps it get seen a little bit more, and we can definitely spread the love for Bray out there in the world of YouTube and every other place out there. So thank you guys so much for joining us tonight. Great crowd tonight, great interaction in the chat. And we'll see you next week, if not sooner. If you are going to join us for Impact, we've got that tomorrow night. The podcast is Thursday, as always. But, yeah, thank you guys. Stay safe, and we will see you again real soon. Take care.